stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore! First, you've got to get mad! I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore! First, you've got to get mad! I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Is surely wiser. For the magician, however, the tide of these celestial forces offer a way to maximize the power of any magical undertaking. It is always important to bear in mind that magic is not hit or miss. It is easy to make the mistake of thinking about the results of a magical act in sharply contrasted terms like succeed and failure. In truth, magic exists in a constant shade of gray, where it is not a matter of whether the spell worked, but simply a matter of to what degree did it succeed. For instance, if someone desired to have a bit more extra cash in their pocket, they may create a magical talisman for the planet Jupiter, because Jupiter rules over luck and growth. A talisman is an object that has been energized by a particular type of energy or spirit, and these energies have been charged with a particular duty. In this case, the talisman has been energized with the force of Jupiter and has been charged with the duty of bringing extra money to the magician. Then the talisman is consecrated, and it is during the ceremony of consecration that the object is imparted a certain type of force, in this case Jupiter, and charged with its duty, in this case extra money. If this consecration ritual is not done on a Thursday, which is the day allocated to the planet Jupiter, the talisman will still be successfully energized and set to its duty, but its strength will be greatly reduced. What's more, even the hours of the day have been assigned to certain planets, meaning that if a talisman is created and consecrated on the day and hour of Jupiter, it will be even more powerful. The hours of the day that are dedicated to the 7 planets are dependent on both the time of the year and geographical location. The reason is that a magical day begins at sunrise. The first hour of the day is assigned to the planet which rules that day. Instead of hours that last exactly 60 minutes, in magic, the time between sunrise and sunset is divided into 12 pieces, and likewise, the time between sunset and sunrise is also divided into 12. These magical hours are therefore constantly changing. In summer, each of the first 12 hours are longer than each of the last 12 hours, because in summer, the days are longer than the nights. With days consisting of 14 hours of daylight and 10 hours of night, the AM hours, which will last 70 minutes, will be 40% longer than the PM hours, which will only be 50 minutes. On such a day, our money-chasing magician would be better off consecrating the talisman, not only on a Thursday, but in the first 70 minutes of daylight on that Thursday. As stated previously, magic should not be thought of in terms of failure and success, but instead the results of a magical working should be thought of as ranging from failure to success. Once the magical program receives an instruction, the results of that instruction manifest in a way that many would commonly label as miraculous. Often, quote-unquote success manifests itself through serendipitous coincidence, and the magic itself did no more than make the less likely more likely to occur. In this way, magic and its successful results are impossible to measure scientifically. The magical program attempts to bring this success to the magician by making the smallest possible change in the course of destiny. The second most important thing in magic, aside from intention, is ritual. The ritual, as stated previously, represents an organized way to send commands to the magical program, but it also aligns the mind of the magician with a certain type of magical energy. Two common types of magic is ritual magic and natural magic. Natural magic relies on the occult essence of a particular material in order to project a certain energy. Practitioners of natural magic often procure many strange herbs, stones, and may even require a substance derived from a dead animal. It is this type of magic that is commonly associated with witchcraft. The rituals of natural magic are minimalist and often involve no more labor than procuring rare substances and wishful thinking, literally. The texts of natural magic are often written after the fashion of a cookbook. Write the full name and birth date of your lover you desire on a pink candle. Light the candle and visualize them running into your arms over and over again. That's an oversimplified version of the kind of crap you'll find out there. Then there's ritual magic. No gem hunting, no herb gathering, no lizard eyes and cat's tongues, just bossing around spirits with my mind, my wand, and my words. For the remainder of this book, all of my references to magic will be to ritual magic specifically. The rituals of magic usually begin with a cleansing. Holy water and banishments comprise the most common ways in which cleansing of the ritual space is accomplished. The ritual space, the place you intend on doing a ritual, should be as clean and dark as possible. The room should be fragrant with a scent that corresponds to the type of energy you wish to summon. It is also important to note which walls are at what points of the compass, because what is done at one edge of the ritual space is usually done on all four sides: north, south, east, and west. A banishment is a small ritual where banishing pentagrams and/or banishing hexagrams are drawn at the four edges of the ritual space. The symbols the magician draws in the air are of course invisible and imaginary. Although it's just a rule of thumb, the banishing pentagram or hexagram is drawn counterclockwise, while its opposite, the invoking pentagram or hexagram, is drawn clockwise. Today, the most commonly used invoking and banishing pentagrams were those designed by Aleister Crowley. Why he decided on certain pentagram arrangements is truly baffling, and they are without the elegance of pattern. I despised having to memorize them, and I personally think that modern magicians should give those pentagram arrangements revision. A banishing symbol dispels a certain type of energy, while an invoking symbol activates a certain type of energy. It may be thought of as an on and off switch. To banish a certain energy is to turn it off, while invoking a particular energy turns it on. The purpose of a banishing at the beginning is to clean the area of all influences and make the ritual space spiritually neutral. For example, in order to activate the spirits of the realm Venus, one would draw a green hexagram facing all four directions, essentially enclosing your ritual space in imaginary green hexagrams. The hexagrams, being invoking hexagrams, should begin at the bottom right corner of the hexagram and move clockwise until the first triangle of the hexagram is drawn. From there, beginning at the opposite side of Venus, the point on the hexagram assigned to Mars, the second triangle is drawn, also in a clockwise fashion. And, being an odor of Venus, ideally the room should smell of rose. The spirits associated with the 7 planets are invoked and banished with the hexagram. For spirits of the 5 elements, the pentagram is used. Satanists tend to draw the pentagrams upside down, which is symbolic for the material elements being higher than the element of spirit, which often represents God. It isn't uncommon for the names of power, such as the names of God, archangels, and angels, to be uttered while the symbols are drawn. Like in the middle pillar ritual in Chapter 2, these special names are often vibrated, rather than spoken in a plain manner. Although opening rituals can come loaded with needless pageantry, the core of the opening ritual is the invocation. Here, a distinction must be drawn, because the word invocation has two meanings in magic. The first is the activation of a certain type of energy, which is the case for the recently mentioned hexagrams and pentagrams. It is this type of invocation that the opening ritual contains. The second type of invocation is directing a spirit into the magician, allowing the spirit to, at least partially, possess the practitioner. After the invocation of the opening ritual, the magical program is now quote-unquote listening for instruction. At this point, the magician may choose one of many paths. He may decide to question the spirit by evoking it into visible form or into a mirror. To evoke a spirit is to draw it into the ritual space, but not into the bodies and minds of those present. The magician may choose for the spirit to execute a particular command. He also may decide to infuse the spirit into a talisman. A talisman, like a voodoo doll, is an object that has been assigned to and associated with the essence of a particular being or energy. And finally, he may choose to invoke the spirit into his body, allowing the spirit to communicate with and partially command the magician. After the magician is satisfied and his will is accomplished, he begins the ritual's closing ceremony. The closing ritual, like the opening ritual, may itself be weighty with pageantry, but the heart of the closing is the banishments. The banishing ritual, at the beginning of the entire ritual, banishes general influences, while the banishing ritual, at the end, banishes the specific force that was invoked or activated during the ritual. The major implements of ritual magic are relatively few, and even more impressive is the fact that they aren't truly necessary at all, with perhaps the exception of the scrying mirror. The main tools of the magician include the wand, the dagger, or sword, the cup, the altar, and the scrying mirror. The first of these, the wand, is used to direct energy and draw invoking symbols in the air. The element associated with the wand is fire, and fire represents the spark of life. In other words, the ability to give life. The wand is a phallic symbol and represents the active force, the male's ability to jumpstart life. Fire, whose symbol is an upward pointing triangle, is also associated with the lion, the south, the color red, and Archangel Michael. Fire also represents the will or desire. The second main implement is the dagger or sword. The dagger represents the element of air and is used to draw banishing symbols in the air, as opposed to the wand, which invokes. Air represents the mind and intellect. Air, whose symbol is an upward pointing triangle with a horizontal line through its center, is also associated with an angel, the east, the color yellow, and the Archangel Raphael. And, as stated earlier, the dagger is used to threaten and punish disobedient spirits. The cup, or goblet, is associated with the element water. Water is symbolic for the passive force, the feminine quality of the womb, and its ability to bear life. Water is likewise symbolic for blood and, more specifically, the previously discussed life force. In magic, fire and water represent the polar opposites of male and female. Water, whose symbol is a downward pointing triangle, is also associated with the eagle, the west, the color blue, and the Archangel Gabriel. In magic, water corresponds to dreams, emotions, and psychic work. The last major magical tool is the scrying mirror. The scrying mirror is related to the moon, rather than one of the elements. Since a spirit can more easily reveal itself in a mirror, an object called a scrying mirror is used as a medium to communicate with spirits. Occultists have used everything from rare stones to bowls of water as scrying mirrors. But a scrying mirror, in its most basic form, is often just a piece of glass that has been painted black on one side. Sometimes the scrying mirror is used for astral travel. Other times it is used as a place for spirits, even the weaker ones, to reveal themselves and other visions to the magician. The scrying mirror is a magical television screen. A ritual tool of lesser importance, I think, is the pinnacle. This is usually a wooden or clay disc, the size of a dinner plate, and has a pentagram drawn upon it. The pentacle is essentially a spiritual shield. This implement corresponds to the element of earth. Earth, whose symbol is a downward pointing triangle with a horizontal line through its center, is associated with the bull, the north, earthly colors like green and brown, and Archangel Uriel. The ritual tool pentacle. The ritual tool pentacle should not be confused with the talismanic pentacles that are used to bind spirits and energies to. Before being used in a ritual, all ritual tools undergo a ceremony of consecration, which is a ritual where that tool is magically activated.